wanted to know what foods are high in omega-3? Hello, my successful and healthy earthlings. Mihaela Ragushi, a naturopath and fan of the Natural Health Podcast. In today's episode, you'll learn exactly what foods are high in omega-3 and that may cause inflammation in your body. And at the end of this episode, I'm going to give you an opportunity to join our health and success-oriented community by clicking below and joining the Natural Health newsletter. Welcome to the Natural Health Podcast, where we bring awareness of sustainable health in the business hustle space. Natural Health Podcast is perfect for the high-performing, business-minded individuals who want to work with their biochemistry to achieve success and optimal health. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for What Would I Do? In today's episode of Natural Health Podcast, we discuss this week's question. All questions are kept confidential and I read and answer them as if it was me. Hence why it's called What Would I Do? The information provided is not to be taken as advice and is solely for information purposes only. I'm not here to cure, treat, or provide medical advice. I'm here to educate and inform you so you're able to take steps towards optimal health. Please discuss any medical issues with your healthcare professional. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get to the question. Today's question is, I heard omega-6 causes inflammation and is bad, but where is omega-6 found? What a great question. There's so much information out there about omega-6. And I want to put it straight out there and say that omega-6 is not bad. Yes, I said it straight out, and I'm probably going to get a bit of pushback from that, from individuals saying, no, Mihaela, you're wrong. But I'm here to tell you that omega-6 is not bad. However, the issue is the imbalance of omega-3 to omega-6. It's the imbalance that causes issues in humans. We are always looking for homeostasis. We're always looking for a balance, right? So if we have too many omega-6s and not enough omega-3s, that's when the issue arises and it may be pro-inflammatory, right? So this is what's happened, and this may be due to the Western diet that it's increased the omega-6s compared to 3s. Back in the days, it was actually a ratio. So essentially, let's tell you a little bit more about omega-6s and 3s. They're actually essential fatty acids, which means you may not be able to make you need to get them from the diet because your body cannot make them. That's what it means by essential fatty acids. Your body does not have the enzymes to produce them. And if you don't get them from your diet, you can develop a deficiency and you can get sick. And that's the whole term of it being an essential fatty acids. So scientists believe that omega-6 is the inflammatory one and that the omega-3 is the anti-inflammatory one. So you can see kind of how omega-6 got a bad name and it's like the bad villain and omega-3 is the hero. But that's not entirely true. We do need both of them. Both of them are essential. So, and inflammation is essential for survival anyway, if you actually look into it. But the chronic inflammation may be one of the leading drivers to most serious diseases that I've talked about many times on this podcast: heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, Alzheimer's, some types of cancers, and so forth. But you need a balance. So it's actually used to be a balance of 1-to-1 ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s. And now at the moment, they're saying it's a ratio of 16-to-1. That's right, a ratio of 16 omega-6s to 1 omega-3. There you see why omega-6 got such a bad name, and there you see why inflammation is on the rise and why these diseases are on the rise. So this is just for you to understand a little bit more about the whole omega-3-6 conversation and argument, so you can kind of see what you need to do is bring the 16 down. They're kind of saying you want it down to 1-to-5, 1-to-3. Because they're kind of even saying that, it may not be even possible to get 1-to-1, but it depends on your diet, depends where you live, depends on your lifestyle and your choices that you make, what you put in your mouth. But 16-to-1 is very dangerous, causing those inflammatory diseases, okay? So what needs to be understood is the fact that omega-6s, where they are mainly found, they're found in healthy foods also, and such things as nuts. Some nuts have both omega-3s and 6s, and they may be a bit higher in omega-6s, some of them, right? But on today's episode, where I really want to draw the attention to is vegetable oils. That is where most of the omega-6s are found, and that is where most of the inflammation is coming about. I'm talking about canola oil. I am talking about I'm talking about, I'm talking about canola oil. I'm talking about sunflower and oil. I'm talking about all of these oils. Like compared to olive oil, the ratio is just absolutely through the roof, right? So it's these oils that we're not supposed to be intaking a lot of, like sunflower oil, canola oil, and all of these cooking oils that are found everywhere. Everywhere we look, we find these oils, and these are the oils that are pushing our omega-6 ratio through the roof. Would you be concerned about such things as walnuts? Probably not so much. The first thing, we'll go into what would I do, but the first thing is think about what oils you're using. So the questions that you should ask yourself is determining where currently you have omega-6s in your diet. Where currently do you have these vegetable oils? Is it in your crackers? Is it in the biscuits you're eating? Is it in the food? Is it in the takeaway food? Where are these omega-6 oil found currently in your diet, right? And then think about where your omega-3s are found currently in your diet. Is it in the fish? Is it in some oils? Where are your omega-3s currently found? Okay. Now think about, are you ingesting this every day? Is it a large dose of omega-6s that you're having in your diet at the moment? Once you've kind of come to the conclusion of where your omega-6s are found, what I would do is try and eliminate oils. And I'm not talking about all oils. I'm talking about vegetable oils. I'm talking about canola oil, sunflower oil, rice bran oil, and so many other oils that we're not supposed to be ingesting at such a large quantity. So once I have done that, I would remove them and swap them for healthier oils. I've actually done an episode on healthy oils to swap with. And there you will find me talking about avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil, and so many other oils that I talk about to swap them with, right? But what I would also do, the key is to test what your current, with the food and lifestyle that you're eating currently, what is your current ratio like? That's the number one thing that I would do. What is your current ratio like? How many omega-6s to omega-3s do you currently have in your body? So you know what changes you need to make. You may think you need to make dramatic changes, and you actually look at it and your ratio is pretty all right. You may think that you need to make no changes. You look at the ratio and you're like, oh, wow, I need to really make a change here. So that's the number one thing that I would do, is I would measure my current. It's just a little prick test. You send it off. You get it from your naturopath, or any functional medicine practitioner will be able to provide you with these blood tests, so you can see what your current ratio is like. I think it costs about $150, something along those lines. Don't get me wrong, I don't hold that on. I'm not 100% sure, but it's not like $300, $400, $500, $600 test. And then you're able to see your baseline, where it is at, and what changes you need to make. Because there's hidden things like cakes, corn chips, those crackers, the takeaway food, they're all hidden sources of omega-6 that is causing that inflammation, and you may not be getting enough of the omega-3, which is anti-inflammatory. So there you have it, just a bit of awareness, a bit of education on omega-6, that omega-6 is not bad, it is essential. However, your body needs balance, your body needs homeostasis. So the question is how are you going to bring homeostasis with omega-3 and 6 balance in your life? I hope that this shed some light to your question. Anyone who may have had a similar question, feel free to fill out the form below and ask me any question that you may have, and hopefully I'll be able to feature it on a Natural Health podcast. And do what you do best. Love, like, share the Natural Health podcast. If you want bonuses, specials sent straight into your inbox every Friday, make sure you join the Natural Health podcast newsletter below. Thank you for joining us on the Natural Health podcast. And remember, the missing link between failure and success is your health. Content and information provided here is opinion of Mahela Raguse and is for information purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. It is not intended to provide medical advice or take the place of medical advice or any current treatment you're undertaking. Consult your own medical professionals for any medical issues that you may be having. This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the Natural Health podcast. It is advised that you consult your doctor or healthcare professional in relation to any health concerns you may be having. Mahela Raguse does not take responsibility for any health consequences which occur from a person listening, viewing, or reading this content. Under no circumstances circumstances shall the Natural Podcast, Mahela Raghu's, any guests or contributors to the Natural Podcast, or any employees, associates, or affiliates of Mahela Raghu's be responsible for damages arising from the information provided on the Natural Podcast. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical conditions in either yourself or others. Please note, if you're taking prescription, do not stop your medication or start a new protocol, including but not limited to supplements, diet, lifestyle changes without consulting a doctor or healthcare professional. If you or any person has a medical concern, you should consult with your healthcare provider or seek other professional medical advice. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something that you have read or heard on the Natural Podcast or in any linked materials. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. Neither Mahela Raghu nor the publisher of this content takes responsibility for the possible health consequences of any person or persons reading or listening or following the information in the educational content.